All right, everyone, we're less than 24 hours away from the Walk-Away March, and fingers crossed there's going to be a lot of you there, and there's going to be even more of you watching from home or from work, wherever you are. And just a reminder for everyone, it's so important that if you're watching, please share the videos, the photos, to Twitter, to Facebook, to Instagram. Anytime you run across someone who's at the march tomorrow and they're talking about it, they're sharing it, make sure you post that to your own stuff. There's a guarantee we're not going to get coverage from mainstream media. So just please keep that in mind tomorrow. Be sharing, be tweeting, use the hashtag. Just make sure that there's as much momentum as we can possibly get around this, because that's the only way that people everywhere are going to see that this is a real movement. And it's not just about walking away from Democrats. Now, I know that that's the mission, and that's part of the mission statement, but I think for me and for a lot of people, it's not just about that. It's also about walking away from violent rhetoric, walking away from the extremes, both on the right and the left. And, we're seeing that just right now. What an incredible reminder of how out of control violent rhetoric is really getting, when we've got the suspect now apparently in custody who sent or planted these potential explosive devices in several key members of the Democratic Party. And I know there were a lot of us who started to wonder whether or not this was some sort of false flag, or whether or not there was some sort of setup. And I think I have to echo the sentiments of James Woods on Twitter. He really stressed that everyone, needs to try to withhold from judgment. What happened was awful for the staff that was scared and frightened by this. My heart goes out to you, and I would just say, everyone should do their best to just wait. Let the investigation run its course. Let's see what happens. Let's see if we trust the answer that investigation provides. And it isn't unfair, I think, to acknowledge that there is some suspicion there. There is a little bit of questioning there from conservatives, from centrists, from even from other Democrats who are just wondering about the timing of it and the motivation behind it. So let's see what happens before we just start pointing fingers. But I think what it really highlights is just how crazy it's gotten, and how easy it is for some of us to dismiss, our morals, our sense of right and wrong, just because we feel like there's a political disagreement at hand. I had a really bad personal reminder of this earlier this week when I went out with everyone's favorite TDS sufferer, my mom, and it really stopped me short, and it made me question a lot when she and many people like her, it's not just her, so I don't want to single her out and point fingers at her. She's just an example, but literally within the same breath, we talked briefly about these devices being sent, and she immediately denounced it, said this is horrible, this is getting out of control, and my response was merely just piggybacking on it and saying, yeah, that it is getting out of control. Even the president was apparently sent a ricin or some sort of powder earlier, along with several other Republicans. So things are getting out of control on both sides. And her reaction to that was one of just flippance, rolling her eyes and just whatever. I don't care about that. And it was so indicative of what many of us that are here trying to think logically and trying to think critically, trying to give people the benefit of the doubt, trying to have genuine conversations and disagreements with each other that don't result in violence. And there's so many of us, and that's what I've been learning a lot the last couple months, but especially the last week, is just how many people out there are sick and tired of this violence and this celebration of violence that we keep seeing. And we're not, I don't want to only keep calling out the left, because it's not just the far left. The far right is also, something that should be denounced. What I am seeing, however, and I think a lot of people could agree with me on this, unfortunately, I think that the people on the right, I think that people in the center, I think we've all sort of realized early on how important it is that we collectively denounce this behavior. And maybe that's tied in from Charlottesville, whatever you want to say about those motivations, why that happened. But the reaction to it from the right was one of denouncement. The only time you really saw anyone celebrating it were those people that were on the far right. And often when those people were celebrating, they were then getting called out and denounced by other people on the right. So the issue, I think, that a lot of us feel is that we don't see that same level of condemnation coming from the left. In fact, we see the opposite. We see way too many people who identify not even the extremes, not even people that hashtag Antifa in their Twitter bios, even just people who are just identifying as Democrats. There's a lot of you out there that are celebrating this, that are rolling your eyes at it happening to the other side, that are justifying this behavior because you don't agree with each other. And it's not okay. It's not okay on either side. And so I want to thank all the people I've come across online, on YouTube, on Twitter, on Tumblr, everyone that's on the left that's denouncing this. And it's easy to denounce a bunch of bomb threats sent to people at the same time, a bunch of letters full of suspicious powder. That's easy. We need to be supporting one another in denouncing these isolated, violent attacks that are being carried out almost weekly now. I was watching a panel from Politicon, and a gentleman stood up to ask a question, and he nailed it. I wish I could remember the panel. I've watched so many over the week. I've been fixing up my house, and so I've had like YouTube and Politicon in the background. So this young man stood up, and he referred to it as a civil Cold War, and I can't tell you how apt I feel that is. And with that being said, it's really important that so many people are showing up this weekend, and it's really important that all of you share those videos. But more than anything, it is really important that we stay nonviolent. And I'm not saying don't defend yourself if you're attacked. However, you may decide that you could be sending a bigger message by doing so. I am personally going to defend myself if I am physically attacked. And I would say, anyone, if you do, I'm not going to fault you for that. But we should be aware that right now, because of the way this is, we do have the moral high ground, and we don't want to lose it. So when we react violently, when we meet their violent rhetoric with our own, we're not winning anymore. We're not the example of the way things could be or should be. So we have to keep that in mind, as hard as it might be to not react or to not, take their bait. Everyone out there, on the left, on the right, in the middle, everyone who understands how insane this is getting, we all need to start being louder about that. And we all need to be not only sharing messages of our own, but supporting one another. You know, when you see messages calling for nonviolence, calling for civility, support those people. If that's what you believe in too, then let them know that, and let everybody know that. We need as many voices as possible denouncing all this violence. We need to get back to this sense together that whether you're on the right or the left, we can all agree on some basic right and wrongs, and we can all agree on some basic morality principles or moral principles. So just please think this weekend, and think before you react, and throw away your trash. Let's not be the leftist, you know, those weird environmental marches that come to DC, and then you look at the aftermath and there's signs and cups and plastic bottles and everything. So okay, that's my random thing that I'm gonna throw it at the end before I go. I've got another video coming out today that's more tied into mental health, but I just wanted to take a moment, touch base with everybody before the march. I will be there tomorrow. I'll be streaming. I'll figure stuff out with my mic, and if you see me, give me a wave, come say hello to everyone. So again, everyone, please just remember, be kind to each other tomorrow, share messages, and keep it clean in every way.